Hi, I'm Amanda Lamond from the Ministry of Eternal Light. I was guided to start the Ministry of Eternal Light, while I was instructed to, in January 2023 by my beloved team of guides who refer to themselves collectively as the Council of Light. I know each of my guides, but I have become increasingly aware that there are many channels channeling the Council of Light, and I have yet to find out if we are all channeling the same Council of Light, how big the Council of Light is, etc. So I realize I have a whole lot more questions, but I've been working with my team for over a decade now and always received the most extraordinary and beautiful and supportive messages throughout about how to navigate my life, the big decisions, the heartache, the trials, the tribulations, why everything is happening. And then, of course, I also bring through messages for the collective. I am very relieved that 2024 is over. I just have to say, massive trials and tribulations. It was a year of enormous growth, but unfortunately, that came through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering and a lot of what felt like going in circles. And then towards the end, numerous psychic attacks and karmic issues coming to light. My November and December were completely crazy, and I just abandoned all showing up on Instagram, YouTube, anywhere. So, for those of you who had a rough 2024, let's embrace the learnings. I will do one or two talks about how we can put 2024 to rest and take the learnings, which were so important, but not to carry the density of all the emotions that we had attached to what happened. So, to kick off this year of January 2025, I decided to ask the Council of Light for their insights around what wisdom we need, what we need to be aware of, and what we need to focus on. And here is their answer. Beloveds, you are being drawn into your internal worlds more and more. By the sense that the external world is out of control, this is as it is meant to be. Do not judge the experience of another, whether you are shocked or horrified or outraged or any strong emotion, because while this is a collective experience as humanity, it does not serve the planet if you now choose to experience these lower, intense vibrations from situations that are not yours. Let us explain. When you look upon the fires in California, for example, and are not in that place, perhaps not even in that country, you may feel all sorts of emotions, which then mean your radiation is contributing to the chaotic energy. We know this is challenging. We are not asking you to be robotic and have no feeling for the suffering of humanity. What we are asking is that you become very aware of what you are accountable for, what you are solely and completely responsible for, and that is your own state of being. Let us give you an example. Perhaps you attend the funeral of a man in order to, in part, support his widow, who is deeply distressed and awash with grief. If you attend and are sucked into the vortex of trauma, grief, loss, and despair, it does not allow you to support the widow, because now you have little to offer. It does not mean that you do not feel the loss too, but that you do not allow your emotions to take over. You observe them, you allow some time for feeling, but you do not lose mastery. This is how you can best serve. In a more composed state, you are able to help people, in the church perhaps, or stand next to the widow and offer your presence as she shakes hands, as is the custom in some parts, and perhaps help at the house afterwards, taking care of what needs to be taken care of. This is a practical example of what we mean when we say you cannot serve when you let yourself be consumed by emotion. Can you see now how part of the programming of your planet is that you are drawn constantly into every horror, every war, every tragedy, every violence? Can you see now what this does to the overall balance of light on the planet? There you are on the beach, enjoying the sunshine and hearing children playing, and you feel peaceful when you pick up your phone and see headlines of a school shooting or some such atrocity, and now you are drawn into that lower vortex pulling you down. This year, there will be many disclosures of horrors that have been hidden from humanity. As more and more of these surface, it will be the role of those who understand why this is happening and what it actually means, to hold their composure in order to assist those who get swept away with emotion. Some of you have become aware ahead of the collective about what has unfolded on your planet for many eons, and you have had time to learn about light and dark and all that is playing out currently. You all have a different understanding, but suffice to say, you know that all is actually well. You know there is an influx of divine light on your planet like never before, and that this is having an unfathomably enormous effect on the consciousness of the entire planet. Consciousness is what creates form. Thus, as humanity's consciousness shifts, the external reality must shift, as it is a reflection or projection of what is in consciousness. Remember, there is always a lag between what is in consciousness and what is projected into form. It could not be instantaneous, because that level of mastery requires a highly trained and evolved level of consciousness. For example, there are masters who can precipitate instantly. Precipitate meaning to bring into form. For most people, the consciousness is cluttered and the emotional body discordant, so it takes time for alignment to happen. Those of you practicing manifestation will appreciate that you cannot think of something once and it appears. You have to learn to hold what you desire in mind, or at least not keep holding its opposite. And you need to feel that you have it, or at least let go of the not having it, lack state. Apply this way of thinking now to seeing people in distress. What you truly wish for them is peace, and that they quickly find their way out of the distressing circumstances they are in to a better one. But if you watch the news and then you feel all the distress of those people, now all you have done is increased or intensified their distress. You have amplified it. We know it is very hard for humans who feel so separate to sense what it means we are one. Some of you have had experiences of this oneness, and we applaud you and encourage you to continue in meditation, in nature, to open yourself to this experience and to call upon us, your guides, the ascended masters, the source of all that is, to assist you with these experiences of oneness. But for those of you for whom this still feels intellectual, we provide the intellectual explanation as follows. Every human being is an energetic vessel. The totality of all humanity makes up the energy field of the planet. You are now tasked with raising the energy of the planet by attending to your own energetic body. If it seems too tall in order, think of your own family unit or the people with whom you share living space. Think about how the energy of one of you contributes enormously to the energy of the whole group. One person coming home in a bad mood can pull all the others into discord or heavy energy. Therefore, to serve your family, you may need to take yourself for a walk, to swim, to shower, to release the heavy energy until you are ready to rejoin. In the same way, we ask you now to be stewards of the Earth's energy field by taking care of your energetic vessel. You have been programmed to believe you are nothing special, that the vicissitudes of the world are out of your control. This is deliberate. You are then controlled as you feel trapped, unable to change your own life or the planet. Think of all the programs you have consumed about environmental disasters and climate change, and how terrible humans are to have ravaged the earth, and how you feel guilt and shame at your species and your own contributions to the mess of the world. We ask you now to let go of all of this. Yes, to let it all go. Focus now on being only the best version of yourself, getting your own house in order. This means you focus on your internal state. What helps you balance your internal state? You know the things that work, but notice how you may start these practices and then fall back into hopelessness when you either don't see the changes you are hoping for externally, i.e. you don't see a change in your financial circumstances, so you then revert quickly to your old belief, I will never experience abundance. And this is then the thought form you are sending out, and thus the reality you will experience. Or you may be feeling okay, as we explained earlier, and then one news report of something horrendous happening elsewhere on the planet derails your equilibrium, and you think, what good is it to do XYZ when there's so much horror about which I can do nothing? These are energy vampires. They are stealing your energy from you, leaving you constantly drained. Energy vampires can be in the form of media, videos, news reports, people caught up in negativity, shame, or guilt, low vibrational foods, addictions. Most of humanity is careless about their consciousness. It is like opening the doors of your home to anyone walking by and just letting them come in, take your things, throw a party, destroy your home. You would not allow this to happen physically, yet you allow it to happen metaphysically because you do not yet perceive energy, because you've been locked into a 5-sensory model of the world and taught that it's woo-woo to focus on what cannot be seen. You may think it's a tall order to pay far greater attention than you ever have before to your energetic body, but in truth it is not, for as you do so, you will start to feel the benefits. You may wish to track what is happening by keeping a journal in which at the end of each day you track quickly the high energy moments of your day and what you were doing at the time, and the low energy points and what allowed these experiences. Think of it visually like a graph going up and down all day, representing your energy field. You may dip down when you experience some annoyance or frustration, but you have the choice to stay down by the story you narrate and the meaning you attach to the situation. Or you can choose to see it as just one moment of time and that the next moment can be different. That way, an instant can be a tiny dip or a massive downhill slide. You may feel deeply called to heal the ailing world, but just as you wish to support the grieving widow, remember you can only do so when you have managed some level of emotional equilibrium yourself. Your distress and despair does not make a positive contribution to the collective projection called Earth. We do not say you may not feel any despair or distress. We remind you only that you are masters in training. If you do feel distress or despair, go within. See what thought you are holding that is creating the distress or despair. Become aware that you are generating these feelings from your own body. They are not happening to you. They are a physiological response in your body to what is happening in your mind. So go into your mind and see where the root cause lies. Always, it will be a thought you are holding that is generating the distress. Or you may be picking up the distress from the collective. It is not yours, but because you possess mirror neurons, you are now mirroring what is happening outside of you. You are not expected to walk around in denial of your feelings, suppressing them all, saying, "I am only love and light," for this means only that you are pushing the distress out of awareness into the subconscious, where it can do more damage because now it's running your life unconsciously. This is your work now, beloveds, to learn mastery of the feeling world, not to suppress or ignore, but to remain aware of your emotions. You have been programmed to live on autopilot, perpetually busy, bombarded with negative frequencies through radios, billboards, magazines, TV, social media, low vibrational food and music, and then you wonder why your lives are discordant and chaotic. No judgment, beloveds, just awareness now that you have the power to manage your own energetic state, and that is the only thing over which you have full control. The external world is a projection from the consciousness of humanity. Humanity's consciousness has been attacked for millennia, keeping you trapped in war and chaos and famine. All this is shifting now. As more and more people awaken, a different reality will be projected. But those who have controlled humanity do not want this awakening, as it will result in the liberation of the entire planet. So the distractions will increase. Focus not on the darkness in the world that is coming to light. Focus on the darkness in your own energy system. The dark is what is unconscious, and thus controlling you without you knowing. If you bring it into awareness, it cannot control you any longer. All the patterns of fear and shame and guilt can now be released as you bring them into awareness and see through them. You are all doing so well. If you are reading this or hearing it and it all makes sense to you, then bravo, beloved, you are mastering the earth plane. Do not give up, even when you have experiences that are challenging. Seek the counsel of those who are on the ascension path, who can remind you how it all works. Do not bombard yourself with information. Write down the tools and practices that that you require from all you have already studied. Choose a few select readings or audio tracks that remind you how to stay awake when you get lost in the illusion again, and have them readily available. Yes, it is almost like getting clean, as this channel is recalling. When you feel yourself sliding, call a sponsor, someone who can remind you how precious you are, how far you have come, and why it's not worth throwing in the towel through sabotaging behavior. Gather with like-minded souls, celebrate the dawn of a new age, sing songs of devotion, give gratitude for the gift of life. Shower yourselves with love for agreeing to be on the planet and serving the light of God through each cell of your divine bodies. We look forward to conversing with you much in the coming weeks. The Council of Light. So, the word that I kept getting for 2025 is disclosure. There is going to be disclosure on every single level, because we are existing as multi-dimensional beings. So on the third dimension, there's going to be a lot of disclosure about the atrocities and horrors that have been perpetuated on humanity. And as the Council of Light explained, this is going to be shocking for a lot of people. There will be a lot of emotional That is my dog just going crazy and shaking himself. There will be a lot for people to process for whom this stuff is new, and particularly as they discover how widespread the horrors are, particularly with regard to what is being done to children and the extent of human trafficking, etc. So disclosure politically about, just the complete manipulation of our reality. So more and more is going to be coming out, and people making sense of that in their own ways, but a lot of them being pulled into very heavy and distressed emotions. And those of us who have had time to adjust to the reality of what's actually been going on our planet are here to help and assist people. Yes, it's very challenging because people who aren't aware still think that we are mad or insane. But as the numbers grow of those of us who understand there is a false matrix system inside which we've been imprisoned, it will get easier and easier. Also, as more comes to light, there is a kind of leveling. Look, some people don't want to know, they don't want to see, and so you're going to continually find yourself in different realities to others. And I have a lot of messages which I've already shared and will continue to share about the bifurcation of timelines, so splitting, and how increasingly what's going to happen is we are inhabiting the same physical space, the third dimension, with people who are in different realities. And so some people simply are going to drop out of your life. You won't see them anymore, even though they live in the same town or place or whatever. Other people will be drawn more into your life that you are a vibrational match with. But there's going to be often a sense of, oh wow, I'm in a different reality. What this person is saying, like, I have no idea what they're talking about, how they are viewing the world. So not just, oh, we have different worldviews, but actually we're in different realities. There is going to be a lot of turbulence in 2025. This message didn't focus so much on the word turbulence, but towards the end of 2024, I had a lot of messages about turbulence. But we are being shown what to do. We are being shown that we are not just these powerless, enslaved human beings at the mercy of a world gone mad, a world on fire, a world, full of political mess, control, manipulation, bad food, environmental disasters, etc. This is not the case. We are a society, a civilization that is liberating ourselves from millennia of oppression that is so deeply entrenched that it goes back to our first written history. So all of our records, everything we have tells us this is how the world is, when in fact, those of us who are awakening spiritually know that it was not always thus, and that we are in fact souls, that we are multidimensional light beings who are inhabiting a physical vehicle in which we've been trapped for many millennia, thinking I am this ego self, and just perpetuating all the wounds of childhood, all the karmic backstories from all the lives, like playing them out again and again, unable to free ourselves from this cycle. But those of us who are awake now need to celebrate the gift of being awake at this time. Yes, it feels like a burden to be holding a reality that others can't yet see, but it is such a gift. It was a risk agreeing to come back here, to serve the light, to help awaken humanity. It was an enormous risk that we might not awaken. And some of our fellow brothers and sisters and starseeds have been caught in so much trauma that they're not able to fulfill their purpose. They have chosen to leave the planet. They have ended their own lives because the weight of being here is enormous. So if you are awake, if this message makes sense to you, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service to the light. And I will endeavor as far as I can this year to share all the messages from the Council of Light that I have received and continue to receive. I will share my own experience of the tools and practices they provide and how I'm going with trying to implement them, often really badly, falling back into the illusion, getting caught in my own stuff, going into victim mode, creating more of my own suffering. It's not an easy path. It's vulnerable to share how poorly I sometimes think I'm doing at these tools and practices, but I'm being asked to share them nonetheless. And then thirdly, to support people who want to walk this path alongside me. It's the same path we're all on. It's the ascension path. It is a path of liberation from the suffering of humanity's enslavement, of this false matrix in which we believe that we are these poor little humans at the mercy of a crazy, brutal, hostile world. And none of that could be further from the truth. But that's how it seems when you believe the ego voice, that traumatized self, when you believe that that is you, that you're not good enough, that you're worthless, that there's nothing you can do. You are infinitely worthy. You are whole. You are beloved. You are made from love. Literally, the force that powers all creation is the love light of God. We see it as light, we feel it as love, and we call this love light God. Wishing you a beautiful 2025 and hope to see you around.